Hello Internet, welcome to FNAF Cosplay. It's time for some FNAF lore.
Let's just focus on what we're actually good at, shall we? My son is a huge fan of everything related to Five Nights at Freddy's, especially the wrecked edition of Eclipse from the Rune DLC of Security Breach. Because it's for a Dutch carnival party at his school, his outfit should be comfortable to wear and durable. And this will affect some choices later on. Now let me show you a quick way to build something recognizable. I start with an old pair of sweatpants, preferably in a dark color. If it's too short, that's perfect, because Eclipse's pants do something weird above his ankles. I traced my son's knees on them with chalk as reference points. I put it on paper and drew my pattern around it. As I'll be sewing non-stretchy cotton to a stretchy fabric, this pattern needs to be a lot bigger. I took my son's measurements to make sure it would fit him. It's time to get your fabrics. As you can see, I couldn't find the correct fabric with large yellow stars on it, but I think this fabric will be good enough once I'm done with it. Trace and cut out your patterns. Try to plan the stripes of your pattern so they'll join on the sides in a nice way. You'll now have 4 dark blue pieces and 4 pieces with stripes. Get the parts of the front and back for the left half of the pants and place them onto each other like this. You'll need to sew them here and here. Both sides of the striped pieces need to be sewn as well. Use pins to fasten your fabrics together. You could also use binder clips or wonder clips. Sew them once you're done pinning and repeat this for the right half. Get the right and left halves of the upper part of the pants. Pin your pieces together on the seams and sew them together. You could sew them from front to back on one go, but I usually sew the back part first and start anew at the top of the front part. Because the 4 pieces meet in the middle, it gives me more control as to how the 4-way intersection will become. Now you're ready to sew the bottom pieces to the upper piece. As you can see, you'll need to sew them together with an angle in the middle. I think the easiest way to do it is to iron both seams the way you want them to be. Once you've ironed them nice and flat, lay the 2 seams next to each other and start pinning. I want my angled seam to be flat, so I'll start in the middle, work my way to the outside, and restart in the middle to the other outside. Sewing an angle is a bit tricky. I'm sorry I couldn't get this more visible on camera. When you're sewing an angle, you'll have a side with too much fabric in the seam and a side with too little fabric in the seam. I made a cut in the striped piece of fabric and sewed everything together. Make sure to take your time in the corner. You could lower your stitch length there to make the seam in the corner even stronger. After you've sewn it together, press your seams with a hot iron to make them look really sharp. I always iron my seams after sewing, but in these situations it's extra important to make sure they look really good. The bottom of the pants need to be a rounded shape. As you can see, the pattern has some huge triangle cuts. I start with ironing both sides of the triangle together. Pin the seam and repeat this until you pinned every triangle. Once you're done, you can sew the sides together. Make sure your seam will be on the inside of your pants. Iron again, also iron where the bottom hem needs to go. And now you're ready to sew the leg openings of the sweatpants to the rounded striped leg openings. Put your sweatpants in the Eclipse pants. Pin both sides together above the rib cuff and stretch the fabric of the sweatpants a bit. Remember, cotton doesn't stretch, so make sure the opening will be wide enough. To make it easier to stretch the fabric while sewing, I turn the sweatpants to the outside and pin it at a 90-degree angle of the seam. This way I can leave them in while sewing. This makes stretching the fabric much easier. Once you're done with both leg openings, you can sew the waistbands together. This is pretty much the same as with the leg openings. Iron, pin and stretch while sewing. I needed to color the white stars and I used the yellow fabric marker to do so. Because I wanted this to be a quick build, this was much easier. But you could buy the right kind of blue and sew the large yellow stars on the pants separately. That would definitely make it more accurate. Now the base of the pants is done. It just needs its wrecked belt thingy and the 2 round shapes at his feet. For the belt, cut your fabric somewhat longer than you need it. Because you'll attach it to the elastic band, it will be kept in place. cut some rectangular shapes. Because we're gonna wreck these, don't cut them pretty but a bit rough. Iron your belt. To keep it straight, just follow the lines on the fabric and sew it. Mark the middle and sew your rectangles on it where the sides of the pants will be. Attach Velcro on the ends of the belt and sew the belt on your pants with 2 small seams in the front. Cut 2 bands of the striped fabric. Iron these in folds like you would do a pleated skirt. Sew the outsides together so you get this fan-shaped circle. Pin and sew the inner circle of the fan to the rib cuff in the same way you sewed the pants to it. Make sure to equally distribute your folds. Once you're done, it will look something like this. Cut the outer circle in pointy triangles. Reinforce your folds with hot glue. Use some cardboard to protect your fingers against the heat. And as you can see, I did this after I wrecked and chalked the pants. I'll show you this part in a bit. Get some iron wire and poke them through some folds. This will help it stay up as well. Time to have some fun with it. Use your imagination and wreck this cosplay. Rip, cut and pull your fabric. And to make it look dirty and dusty, I used chalk to make a mess. After chalking, I sealed it with some hairspray. I'm not sure if that's necessary, but I did it anyways. So at first I wanted to destroy the left part completely and sew some shaped chicken wire in it. But because my son has to wear it for school, I decided not to. But feel free to do so, I'm sure it would make it even better. For the upper part of this suit I got a long sleeve. I made it look dirty and dusty with chalk, and I even chalked the yellow and blue parts on it. Now if this was a real cosplay I would have made the shirt different, but since it's made for our Dutch carnival, it's fine. It's a quicker way and it's cheaper. I hope you liked this video. Rick is currently working on the mask to complete this outfit. He'll show you how to build it in the next video. So subscribe to our channel if you don't want to miss the final result of this Eclipse suit. Thank you for watching and happy crafting!